John Kennefick was born on the 10th of November 1997, 15 weeks premature, and doctors told his parents, Deirdre and Donal, to expect the worst.
Well, I remember the moment he was born because he cried, and it hadn't been expected that he would be alive. So I suppose the miracle of life was there in that cry.
He was born like this. He came out with his fist clenched. I was just struck by this kind of determination. What he was doing was just going to happen and he was going to live through it.
Although he was born with cerebral palsy, from the very beginning John was determined to defy the odds that were stacked against him, and he was brought home.
He really did just thrive, you know. So within, even the first time I brought him back to the hospital after 2 weeks, they said, "Oh, is this the same baby?" You know, because he just had grown so much, put on so much weight, and he just continued to thrive, which was wonderful, really.
The years rolled on, and even though John was in a wheelchair, he never let it stop him living life to the full.
John would understand and realise, yes, there are differences, but they never got in the way of him being the same as everyone else.
Well, 18 years later, and that little boy is now a young man and goes to school here in Blackwater College in Lismore. And at first glance, yes, of course, John is quite different to most of the other students, but when it comes down to it, he isn't really that different at all.
Name the elements found in carbohydrates.
Hydrogen, oxygen, carbon.
Excellent, good man. Carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Well done.
I absolutely love it. All the teachers are very nice and my fellow students are very nice and I try my best to do as well as I can.
Most people, you know, forget about John on a day-to-day basis. They don't see anything different about John as a student or anybody else. You know, he blends in the same as every other student. He's challenged the same as every other student, and he loves to challenge the same as every other student and wouldn't have it any other way. Very intelligent, very articulate, very bright young man.
Although his condition can make life tough at times, John always has a positive attitude.
To be honest with you, Colm, I haven't known it any other way. I was born with cerebral palsy, so really I haven't known any different.
Love is the answer, at least, for most of the questions in my heart. Why are we here and where do we go and knock on me so hard?
After school, John heads back to a specially adapted home here in Lismore. And just like any other teenager, he likes to do his own thing.
Likes to close the door in his room and go in and do his own thing at times, listen to music, interested in sport, has his own ideas and opinions about things.
We are in my bedroom. There's all my personal belongings and stuff that really means something to me.
In recent years, John's health began to worsen when a curvature started to develop in his spine.
We knew he had problems with his back developing in his lower back, and he was very, very ill from that. So from we having a quite healthy child who was a chair user but who got on with life and managed his life quite well, we ended up with a child who was getting sick quite regularly, having a lot of pain.
John was diagnosed with needing complicated and risky spinal surgery, which he went for last year in Crumlin's Children's Hospital.
Oh, he was a great character for sure. Right from you could see he was a bubbly character, but he was quite sick. He hadn't been able to absorb any food for quite a while. What was happening was his spine was twisting into the space where his tummy should be, and basically his stomach, an outlet of the stomach was getting blocked.
John went for the surgery, which lasted over 8 hours.
It was a long day. He went down for surgery about 9 o'clock, and we didn't hear, well, the liaison nurse was in touch with us throughout the day, but Mr. Kiley rang us then around 7 that evening to say they had the bulk of the surgery covered. He was happy with the way things had gone, and it had gone very well.
The operation was a massive success, and again, just like when he was a newborn, his parents were able to bring him home. And a few months ago, to celebrate, his mother Deirdre wrote a letter to Mooney Tunes on Radio 1, a show where listeners suggest songs that they would like performed in the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre. The song she asked for? Bring Him Home from Les Mis. John got to attend the concert on the night, and he told a packed theatre and thousands of radio listeners just how he felt after his surgery.
I feel $1 million. Yay!
When I think of John Kennefick, I smile. I've met him a couple of times now, and I'd met him prior to the Christmas Mooney Tunes concert. So I knew a little bit about him, but I didn't fully appreciate what he'd been through until his mum had sent him that extraordinary letter outlining the journey he'd been on physically, emotionally, and I suppose spiritually too. And it kind of reinforced that idea that there's a human spirit there, and if you dig deep enough, you can find it and it'll get you through anything. And John's a real example, a perfect example of that. He's only 18, for goodness sake. And the piece of music that she wanted played for him was so appropriate, considering what he'd been on. Bring Him Home from Les Mis.
John is a very special individual, really, and it's inspiring to work with him, to be honest, and it sounds kind of trite, but he actually is. In the 12, 13 years that I've known him, I've never known him to be in bad form. Not once. And this is despite the fact that he has a lot of difficulties, and he's been in a lot of pain and discomfort, and never once have I ever heard him complain about anything.
So, what's next for John? Well, he hopes to go to university in Cork after his Leaving Cert, and it will be a difficult day for Mum and Dad when he does leave for college.
It would be natural for us to be concerned, but we should move backwards a little bit and be there in the background supporting like any other parents would their own children.
That's the next challenge, to begin to let go, I suppose.
I love my parents with all my love, really. I've no one else to love, really.
Let him live, bring him home.
I really don't know what the fruits may bring. I hope to
Well, whatever lies in the future, the Kenneficks will be taking it one day at a time.
as I possibly can.